Please don't hurt me in the comments section, okay? It's my opinion. Don't kill me, Millwall fans. Thank you. So it is time for Championship predictions. And yes, I'm not going to be at all biased. I'm not going to put Derby bottom of the league, even though, I mean, we all know that's actually going to happen probably, so yeah. Now again, I want to point out that I'm recording this on the 11th of September with the idea for it to come out about maybe a day or two afterwards. So if any transfers have happened since this video is recorded, then obviously it's pretty much impossible, well, it is impossible for me to include it. 24th place, and I'm sorry to Rotherham United fans, it is going to be you. Of course, you're a classic yo-yo club really of the Championship and League One. So often you get promoted and then you get relegated. Your transfer business is interesting. All players on a free. I'm not going to lie, I've never heard of any of them. So yeah, let's just say them. Victor Johansson from Leicester's under 23s. We also got Angus McDonald from Hull City. Kieran, him from Doncaster. Miller from Hamilton Academicals. So yeah, that's a really good name, isn't it? Hamilton Academicals. It takes you quite a few seconds to say it. We're not talking about the Scottish League, David. But honestly, this prediction, I'm just basing it off history. You know, so often, like I said, they just come up. And actually, to be fair to them, when they went down last time, they gave it a real good fight, I remember. And they only went down like 2 games to go. And they were actually pretty close to staying up. But what could help them, though, is there's lots of teams in this league now that are quite similar level to Rotherham, maybe. So even teams like Luton and Barnsley and Coventry and Wickham. They're all teams that have recently been in League One, so maybe those kind of games they could get 3 points in. Who knows? You could get a team like Coventry or Rotherham stay up. So I'm just going to say 24th. In 23rd place, we're going to go for Wickham Wanderers. Now, honestly, I'd love to see this team stay up. I mean, you know, cool kit. Not that that's got anything to do with the ability of the players, but I just can't wait to see the likes of Akin Fenwa grace the Championship. Like, he's going to come to these grounds like even Forest and does, you know, get 1-0 SS results, which I hope he doesn't in our case, but you know. And that's another thing as well. As a fan of a Championship club, I've never known us play Wickham ever, so I'm looking forward to that game. But their transfer business, all again on freeze. These are Giles Phillips from QPR. We've got Ryan Tafazoli from Hull, great pronunciation, David. And David Stockdale from Birmingham. That is actually a decent buy. He is 34, but he's got lots of experience, David Stockdale. So that's actually quite a good one, I think. I just don't think overall the ability is going to be quite there. Maybe they might do a similar thing to Luton. Everyone wrote them off and said no chance. Like Luton, they're just not good enough. They pulled it out the bag somehow and stayed up, which is incredible for them. Credit to Luton. So maybe we could see a situation like this. In 22nd, the final team that I think will be getting relegated to League One this season, it is Sheffield Wednesday, okay? Now, I do think they are going to put up a real fight, and obviously we all know that they've been docked minus 12 points. Now, I'd never normally put this team this low. I'd probably put them about mid-table or something like that, and even last season, Sheffield Wednesday were in the playoffs around Christmas time, and then they ended up, well, they were terrible in 2020. There's a ridiculous stat. They won like 3 games. I don't think it's that bad, but it's not great. I should really know. Research, David. Very unprofessional. But mentally, being docked minus 12 points is going to be really difficult for the players to deal with, you know. They weren't expecting to be in a relegation battle with a club like Sheffield Wednesday, so it's going to be tough for them. And I think I ought to mention their transfers just briefly as well. Josh Windass and Dunkley both coming in from Wigan, and also Kachunga from Huddersfield. That's a decent signing, to be quite honest. And, you know, that's actually decent business. All bar Windass for free. Windass is $500,000. As for the departures, though, they've lost Forrest Dieri, Winnell, Stephen Fletcher, who was one of their main strikers last season, from what I remember. He scored against Forest, I seem to remember. And also Morgan Fox, who was linked with Forest at one stage. In 21st place, just staying up, it is going to be Coventry City. Now, honestly, I don't really know why I'm deciding to keep Coventry up and not teams like Wickham and Rotherham, because I think they're all quite similar, to be honest. You know, Coventry, they've not been anywhere near the Championship for quite a long time. But, I mean, this is very, very easy to do. Because they've signed Tyler Walker first, I generally do think that is a really good signing for a club like Coventry. I said ages back, I think in one of my previous videos, he needs to go on loan to a League One club or low-level Championship club. And no offence to Coventry, I think you are fair to be called a low-level Championship club. I think that's fair. They've also signed Harmer, a midfielder from a Dutch team, for £1 million. Quite a lot for a team like Coventry. De Costa from the second tier of France, O'Hare from Villa, a guy from the German league from Paderborn that I've never heard of, and I can't say his name properly either, shock horror, and also Giles from Wolves, a guy from Brighton, and Ben Scherf, something like that, I don't know, from Arsenal. Other than Tyler Walker there, I don't really know many of them players or enough to really give a fair judgment, so I just think Coventry will be alright, honestly, I do. Apparently they play quite good football in League One, and maybe they could do exactly the same thing in the Championship. And I just have a feeling they might stay up, you know, they might put it out the bag and just stay up, like I literally just said. Why did I just keep repeating myself? In 20th place, we've got Huddersfield Town. Now, of course, in the Premier League, not even that long ago, and now I'm predicting them to just stay up in the Championship for a second straight season. They've lost Steve Mounier to Stand Brest in the French league, and I've also heard they are strongly linked to lose George Grant, their top scorer last season, to West Brom. So if they lose their two main strikers, that is a lot of goals they're going to lose, and they didn't score that many anyway last season. So if they lose them, they're going to be really struggling next season. I think they've also lost Stankovic and another guy I've never heard of, or more like I can't say his name to the German league. Reece Brown's left, Coleman and Kashunga, like I said earlier, has also left too. As for players they bought in there, they've signed Pipa from Espanyol, Danny Ward from Cardiff, who is a centre forward, and Joel Pereira though from Man United. That is honestly not a bad signing at all. That could actually really work in their favour. They've lost their two main strikers. That could really affect them. And let's not forget this, they've not got a manager with any experience at a top level, or more like as a first team coach, just coming from Leeds Youth Academy. I think that's a bit of a risk, to be quite honest. And Danny Cowley, yes, okay, they didn't do incredible. He was with them for quite a while, but still, getting rid of them, bit of a weird one, that. In 19th, of course, we have Luton Town. Now, honestly, they did fantastic last season, because for quite a lot of it, they were in the relegation zone, and quite a few points adrift, and the fact that they managed to stay up fairly comfortably in the end, I will maybe comfortably is a little bit fair and generous, but they did well, and they stayed up, which is incredible. They signed James Bray again from Villa, Tom Lockyer from Charlton, who, good bit of business that, to be quite honest, and George Clark from Accrington. Probably could do a little bit more than that and maybe get a bit more experience in there. But again, Luton are not the richest club in the world. But Nathan Jones did fantastic last season to keep a really struggling Luton Town up. And they had a hell of a lot of fight. And this is what I was saying about Coventry earlier. Everyone wrote them off. But I think there'll be a team with plenty of fight and, you know, courage and desire to stay in the league. I think Luton, they've got that experience now in the Championship. I think that's going to really help them out. And I think they'll stay up. I definitely think they'll stay up. In 18th place, we've got Barnsley. Now, of course, they had an incredible end to last season when they looked completely out of it, or realistically out of it, with just 2 games left, and then they managed to beat us and Brentford. You know, 2 teams that were going for promotion last season, and they beat both of us, which was mental. So credit to Barnsley. Very difficult to beat and break down. And I don't even really know why. They probably haven't got the greatest squad in the world, but it's proven last season by only just staying up and being in the relegation zone for quite a lot of the season. Maybe that might be the case again this season, and then they managed to pull it out again. I don't know, but Barnsley look much better than they did for last season. As for the transfer business, no. They signed Freezer, completely butchered that from last, and also Hellick. As for players they've lost Brown to Stoke, McGee to a Belgian team. Of course, McGee was part of the Portsmouth career mode in the first season as well, and actually scored the first goal of that series. Not that that's relevant. But other than that, no one really of note. And Danny Paneos, just ex-Forest, they've lost him too. But overall, I think it'll be quite a comfortable finish for Barnsley this season. In 17th, we have Reading. Now, honestly, I don't really know what to make about them. It just looks like it's going to be another very Reading kind of season, since they completely threw away, or not throw away, they've lost the playoff final on penalties. They've just not been the same team. This is like their 4th season in a row now, something like that, since that season. But both games, Reading were very hard to beat and well organised defensively. But honestly, their transfer business, they probably could do more. They've signed Ajaria from Liverpool. Probably said that wrong again. I need to stop saying that. You probably know by now. For £3.5 million. Not a bad bit of business at all then. Also, Josh Laurent has come in from Shrewsbury as well. As for outgoings, they lost Danny Loader to Porto, Tyler Blackett to Forest, and also Holdsgrove to Celta Vigo. And I think it's worth pointing out they've lost a lot of players. A lot of players that I knew at the club. I don't know a huge amount of Reading players, but they've lost Manone, they've lost Charlie Adam, Gareth McCleary, and Chris Gunter. They've all left the club and they've gone to no one. So that probably isn't going to help them out too much either. I just think overall it'll be quite a standard year for Reading. Again, I'm sorry, just mid-table mediocrity for you, in my opinion. In 16th place, we've got QPR. Now, honestly, I think it is going to be quite a tough season for them. They've lost two of their best players recently in Eze and Inaki Wells. That is not going to help them out in the slightest. They have permanently signed Luke Amos from Spurs, though, and Rob Dickel has also come in from Oxford United. George Thomas from Leicester, and also Dykes, I think that's how you say it, from Livingston. I just don't see QPR progressing that much this season if they're going to sell to their best players and, by the looks of it, not replace them either. It's not that promising, let's be honest. So I just think it's going to be a tough one for QPR. I'm going to put them 16th. In 15th place, we have Birmingham City. Now, honestly, I was thinking about putting this team a little bit higher. However, they still don't have the greatest squad, but what was making me think about putting them higher was Aitor Karanka now being their manager. Now, obviously, ex-Forest and Middlesbrough. He knows how to get a team promoted and firing, so I think he will be a good appointment for you. As for their transfer business, they've signed Jonathan Lecco from West Brom for just under £1 million. George Friend and Clayton from Borough, so not really a surprise to see him signing ex-players that he's managed. Also Neil Etheridge from Cardiff, that is not bad business at all. He did well in the Premier League for Cardiff. Terrell from Hull, and also Sanchez from Elche. And that's about it really for them. That is not bad business, to be honest. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh here, but I just think overall their squad, it still isn't insane, let's be honest. And let's not forget this, they've sold two quite important players in Jude Bellingham to Dortmund, and also Jimenez has left them to go to the Spanish League. In 14th place, we've got Bristol City. Now, honestly, I think it's going to be a tough year for them because they had a poor end to last season. They got rid of a manager they had for quite some time, and Lee Johnson, and they brought in Dean Holden, which, I mean, he's not got much experience as a first team manager. Well, literally only at Oldham. He's been assistant manager quite a few times at Walsall and also Bristol City himself. He's been with the club since 2016 apparently, or as an assistant manager anyway. So that could help them out. He knows the club already. He knows all the players. And their transfers, they've signed Chris Martin from Derby and Chris Brunt from West Brom, and also Williams from Wigan. Alfie Mawson on loan from Fulham, not bad there, and Steven Sessegnon. That isn't even that bad at all, that business, but I just think they could do better with their manager. If they got someone more proven, that might help them out. And maybe a hangover might happen from last season, because at the start of restart, they were really close to the playoffs, and they ended it nowhere near it. In 13th, we've got Middlesbrough. Now, obviously, they've got Neil Warnock in charge. He knows how to get a team into at least the playoffs and how to get teams promoted. And Borough were in promotion contention for 2 straight seasons, and last season they had a shocker, and you know, they nearly got relegated at one stage. But they've signed Grant Hall from QPR, like I would have mentioned earlier, and Bettinelli from Fulham on loan. That's not bad at all. Premier League experience, not a huge amount of it, but still. They lost George Friend and Clayton to Birmingham, like I said earlier, and also Ayala and Rudiger Stead and Shotton have all left the club, so that might backfire. But the main reason why I'm putting them as high as they are, like I said, is because of Warnock. We know how good Warnock is, very good manager. So often, you know, he's 71, but so often we see him just pull it out the bag, regardless of what team he's been managing, and just get them promoted or get them going again, you know. And he kept them up, as I think everyone expected him to. In 12th place, we've got Blackburn Rovers. Now, honestly, having looked at their transfers, I don't really know why I'm putting them this high, but obviously they did well last season. They were in and around, like, even at times in the playoffs, like from 6th to like 14th. But as for their transfers, like I said, pretty underwhelming. Literally just one player so far from Ghent, and it is Thomas Kaminski. Yeah, I can't say these names properly at all, can I? But for 450k and a goalkeeper. Their biggest departure is Denny Graham to Sunderland. Maybe that might backfire on them, but I just think overall Blackburn, they're a decent team. They should do well, but nothing incredible. Not playoffs. Shouldn't be at all worried about getting relegated either. In 11th place, we've got Preston North End. Now, the main reason why I'm putting them here is because for a lot of last season, they were in and around the playoffs, and I think it'll be similar again. They've got a good manager in Alex Neil. I think one of the issues with Preston is they're one of those teams that are quite known for not being that rich, or they don't have the biggest funds available. And it kind of shows here because they've signed literally no players. No players from what I can tell here. It says no one has arrived. Departures, though, all, again, for free. They've lost Simpson, Clark, and Armour. Like, they've made no profit and they've signed no one. That's not great at all, really, is it? But overall, they've got a good team. I just think they needed to do more. If they had made a few signings, then I could have easily put them into the top 6. I think they could definitely still push for the playoffs without a doubt. They're a good and hard team to beat, Preston. But I just think they'll be in and around it still, regardless of their transfers. Now, of course, every season we tend to see one of the relegated Premier League teams struggle. And normally it's much lower than 10th. But this is the closest we're going to get in my predictions. It is going to be Bournemouth. I'm putting Bournemouth in 10th place. Now, this might be quite polite. Honestly, I was thinking about putting them into the playoffs, but I don't really see why I should, because they have lost a ridiculous amount of players. It's actually incredible how many players they have lost. Ake, Wilson, Ramsdale. They've made good money on all of them. 40 million, 20 and 18 million. But they haven't invested, you know? What's the point in getting all that money? They've got 79 million and they spent none of it. Ryan Fraser for nothing. Defoe for nothing. Boric for nothing. They've also lost Butcher, Sermon, Francis and Ibe, Brad Smith and Daniels. They've lost all them players. Harry Wilson was on loan. He's gone. Maybe 10th. It's actually quite polite. And they've appointed a manager that, yes, he knows the club very well, and Jason Tyndall, the, of course, number 2 to Eddie Howe for all these years, but, like, no experience as a number 1. They've lost loads of key players and made no signings. Honestly, maybe I'm being polite putting them in 10th. In 9th place, we've got them lot. It is the Rams, of course, Derby. Yeah, let's just do this as quickly as we can. As for arrivals, they've signed Nathan Bryan, I think that's how you say it, and Matt Clark has been brought in on loan from Brighton, and also David Marshall has also come in as a goalkeeper. However, though, they've literally sold 2 of their best players, both their fullbacks in Bogle and Lowe, both to Sheffield United. They've lost 2 of their best left backs just before the season starts. Yes, okay, the transfer window is still open. That might backfire on them. I've seen people putting Derby in 2nd. Are you serious, mate? And honestly, forget his Derby. Just the team. They've lost their 2 best players, or two of their best players. And they haven't really signed anyone outstanding either. I think that's really generous. I'm not even just trying to wind Derby fans up. I generally do think that, honestly. In 8th place, we've got Stoke City. Now, we all know the history between us and Stoke of late. As for their transfers, though, they have signed Jacob Brown from Barnsley, Morgan Fox. James Chester, though, is coming from Villa. That is actually not a bad option at all. Stephen Fletcher as well from Sheffield Wednesday. Honestly, I think they're going to do well, Stoke. I really do. That's not a bad bit of business at all. Michael O'Neill, lots of managerial experience. He got them firing well and truly last season. Good manager, good business. As for departures, though, they've lost no one major, really. Stephen Ward has gone to Ipswich, and Doof has left as well. And Etbo has gone to Galatasaray. Just going to miss out on the playoffs. They want to get back to the Premier League as soon as they can. I think this season is going to be their first step in the right direction. In 7th place, this is going to be heartbreak for this team, and as I know all too well, 7th place is not where you want to finish. I put this team in 22nd last season, and yeah, they really proved me wrong. I'm sure you know who it is by now. It is Millwall. I'm putting Millwall just to miss out. I think they definitely will be in the playoffs for a lot of this season as well. But I just have a feeling they won't quite have enough. Gary Rowett, though, good manager. They've signed Troy Parrott, of course, the Portsmouth career legend, obviously. Ryan Williams from Stoke. Bennett and Malone from them lot down the road, Derby. And as for players they've lost, no one absolutely major. Aidan O'Brien has gone to Sunderland. But Millwall, a very hard to beat team. And I think it's going to be exactly the same this season. You never really know what to expect from them. So I think it's going to be more of the same this season, to be honest. And Millwall's the 7th place for them. In 6th place, we've got Swansea City. Now, probably the main reason why they made the playoffs in the end last season is because of Reece Brewster. He isn't there this season. And they haven't really replaced him either. So maybe this is a little bit of a bold call, putting them in 6th place just to sneak into the playoffs. But overall, I think they still have a good team. They signed Jamal Lowe from Wigan, Smith from Bristol City as the defensive midfielder, Woodman from Newcastle, not a bad move there. Gibbs White from Wolves, that is good business as well. And obviously, like I said, they've lost Selena. I didn't even realise that, to be honest. But lost Selena to Dijon, Van der Hoor and Mulder has also left the club as well. And they've also lost Nathan Dyer for nothing and Montero. I do think they're just going to sneak in. Maybe they might be there for quite a lot of the season. We'll see. But they should be in and around it at the very minimum for me. In 5th place, we've got... That's right, Nottingham Forest. I'm putting us in 5th. I'm not being biased. I genuinely do think we'll make the playoffs this season, okay? We all know what happened last season. In it all, basically in it the whole season. And we completely threw it away. But I think this time we will be in it for probably exactly the same time. But I don't think we're going to capitulate like we did last time. But we've made some genuinely good signings. And for so many of them, for nothing as well. We've signed Guerrero, obviously, Blackett, Colback and Taylor. All for free. And yes, okay, we've lost Matty Cash to Villa for 14 million. We've not really invested in the squad just yet with it, but still, we've got lots of options still. We've got Jenkinson, Darinka and Gabriel. We've lost Steele, we've lost Pantilimon, Walker and Brigkurt. Yeah, basically deadwood really. But I think we'll get 5th, without a doubt. Maybe though, there's that thing. Maybe we're so close that season to getting the playoffs. We didn't get it. Maybe psychologically, it could backfire on us and we could struggle, but I really hope that isn't the case. In 4th place, we've got Cardiff City. Now, honestly, Cardiff last season, it kind of took them a bit of time to adapt to being relegated, and they really got going at times. Obviously, more towards the end of the season, they managed to sneak into the playoffs, getting 5th. Neil Harris, a good manager, and as for their transfers, nothing absolutely outstanding, but they have signed Sherry Ojo and Tutu from Arsenal, so that's not bad there, and more from Wigan. Yet another player that's left Wigan, and they've lost Danny Ward and Etheridge, but still, honestly, not bad at all. Probably they should do a little bit more business, but Cardiff, they were good last season. They still kept a lot of their best players. Good manager in Neil Harris. I think they'll definitely be up there, and they're a hard team to beat, Cardiff. So yeah, 4th place for me. In 3rd place, we've got Brentford. Now, honestly, I think Brentford, I was honestly going to put this team possibly even 2nd or even 1st, okay? But the main thing that swung it for me was the fact that they just lost Ollie Watkins to Villa for 27 million. Now, yes, okay, they got a lot of money for him, but let's be honest, that is a lot of goals and a massive player gone from that team, particularly when they're up front as well. It will affect you even more, and they haven't really got anyone to replace him from what I know. Yes, they have signed Ivan Toney, which is a decent option, I'm not going to lie. Good backup if Watkins was still there. But I'm not sure that he can start. Okay, go from Peterborough to Brentford, they want the Premier League, you know. Other than that, they've only signed Charlie Good from Northampton, which, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, is that a good option? I've never heard of him. However, though, they have still kept at the time of recording Saeed Benrahma, of course, who was one of their, star players last season. So maybe keeping him will do them a massive favour. If they lose him, though, I think they could even maybe capitulate, or maybe not that, but they won't get promoted. I don't know. But honestly, Brentford, I think they could definitely win the playoffs or even get top 2. In 2nd place, we've got Norwich City. Now, this team, of course, weren't great at all last season in the Premier League. They really were shown that they're not good enough for that league just yet. And the good thing about them, though, the reason why I think they'll do well is because they've kept their core group of players. They've not really lost anyone massive. Jamal Lewis, of course, to Newcastle. As the players they brought in, though, a lot of players. They signed Jordan Hugill. I think that's fantastic that they've finally got a backup, and a good backup with championship experience as well, to back up Pukki. Paul Cheta from the Polish league, said that wrong. Soto from Hanover. A guy from the Danish league, Dal Skip. There's another guy from Villarreal, and Ben Gibson. That is honestly some really good business there. However, can they all gel together? That's the thing that might backfire on them, but they've kept the group of players. They've made a lot of good signings. They know how to get promoted from this league. I think that's got to be all in their favour. So, of course, my champions for the championship this season is going to be Watford. I think Watford, they were quite unlucky to get relegated last season. For most of the season, I mean, they were bottom for quite a while, but they ended up getting out of it. Looked like they were actually going to stay up. Sacking Nigel Pearson, I still don't understand why the hell did they do that. They've now got Vladimir Ivic there, who we've never heard of. I mean, probably in a few months' time, even if they lose just one game, they'll get the sack because it's Watford. But they have made a few good signings. Glenn Murray, proven championship striker. He is 36, on loan though. Bit weird that when you're 36. A guy from West Ham, under 23s. And 2 lads from Udinese. Other than that, they've not signed any players. As for outgoings, Decoy, of course, has left. And also Mariappa and Gomez have also left the club too. But though Watford still got a lot of excellent players. Will Hughes was excellent last season towards the end of it. Demarai Gray, of course, was fantastic for Burnley when they were promoted. I think he was a top scorer in the Championship and Player of the Year. He knows what it's like in the Championship and how to get promoted, of course. So yeah, they've got lots of very good options. Already a very good team. I think they'll be quite comfortably the champions, but we'll see what happens about that. So there we go. That is my championship predictions for the upcoming 2020-2021 season. Of course, by the time you watch this, the season would have been started by at least one game. But, I mean, it's just how it's fallen. I just couldn't get it out in time, unfortunately. But hope you've enjoyed, lads. Please do like and subscribe if you have. We've got to 1,000, of course, but let's just keep going, you know? We're only at the start of my journey, okay? We just want to keep building, keep moving forward, and just see where I can go on YouTube, how far I can go. Like, there's no limit. Let's just keep building, lads. By all means, please do let me know in the comments below your championship predictions, what you think of mine. And remember, don't take it too seriously. I don't know the championship quite as well as the Premier League, as you may have been able to gather at times during this video. But I tried my best. I hope you've enjoyed. But yeah, I'm rubbing it on. Thank you very much, lads. And I'll see you very soon.